if you're a student who is just incredibly focused on getting good exam scores and you have to study, then please go study instead of watching this video, because this video is better suited for the students who are looking for some ways to get their hands on some real world activities and opportunity to learn new insights and possibly get their hands on real things and experience. So yeah, if you're a student that falls into the second category, then please stay tuned. I think this might have something valuable for you. This morning I had an interview with a very interesting person who went from engineering to ESG domain, and he has a job but he's running a successful MPO at the same time, so he calls it his second job. And his charity MPO is based in New York. Its name is Forefront Charity. If you're interested in finding out what he has to say and find out how you could somehow get engaged with his charity, then yes, please watch this. 짧게 한국어로 설명할게요. 뭔가 한국에서 이 비영리 단체와 이렇게 활동을 같이 해보고 싶다든지, 아니면 내가 개인적으로 뭔가 뭐 기여를 하고 싶다든지 이러면은 이 대표님의 인스타그램이나 이 단체의 이메일로 연락을 취해서 얘기를 나눠보세요. 그게 요지예요. 알겠죠? 네. 안녕.
I am an engineer by trade, and I started my initial career in engineering. And then after doing some roles in engineering, I moved on to marketing. And then from marketing, I moved on to sustainability and sort of the ESG space. So I have a lot of various experiences all across the different fields. But about 7 years ago, I started Forefront Charity in 2015. Basically, what we want to do was we wanted to provide basic life necessities. One of the things that I've seen, one of the stories that was very impactful to me is after building a water well, we went back to that village, Palapatla, 6 months later. And in that village, after we built the water well, they were spending 6 to 8 hours a day getting water. And then now they have a water well in their village. So essentially, they're saving 8 hours. Or up to 33%, which is a lot, right? That's like a whole school day. That's like a whole working day, almost. And so, after that, we expected this sort of great change, which it definitely did make a huge change. But one of the questions that I asked the kids was, I was like, so do you like to go to school? Like, what do you like to study? Do you like English? They're like, no. Do you like math? No. Do you like science? No. I said, okay, let's try a different angle. Do you like music? No. Do you like art? No. And I said, wait, so I feel like I said all the subjects. What do you like? And they said, oh, we don't have a school to go to. And that was a very big one where we're like, okay, there's a need beyond just water. Water is the basis of all life, but you need clean water to allow students to go to school. You need the clean water to allow adults to work. And then, so that's sort of how we come with our water and education pillar. Then for our medical pillar, we met a lot of different cases where they didn't have access to they didn't have access to any sort of medical care really that's affordable to them. And so essentially, they were spending a lot of their own personal funds on different sort of remedies, treatments, at their sort of local home level. But it would actually prevent them from going to work. And so that was one of the big barriers to sort of long-term sustainability. And then sort of the last sort of major pillar of work that we do is empowerment, where we would meet and we would hear stories of how girls stop going to school because, once they have once they begin their cycle, they don't have facilities for them, like bathrooms or just general sort of sanitation. So that was a huge factor of why girls would drop out of school as well. So ultimately, put that all together. That was from 2012 to 2015, right? That was sort of like the investigation and just going and hearing and seeing a lot of the stories. That's sort of when we launched how we came up with our 4-pillar approach, which is providing, once again, clean water, quality education, accessible medical care, and empowerment opportunities. And our mission statement is that we want to enable every person, regardless of gender, demographics, equip them to become leaders so that it can lead to establishing self-sustaining communities. And that's really the thing, is the long-term sustainability and, you know, building up the next generation of change makers is really key, because the locals know their countries the best. They know their cultures the best. They know their needs the best. And what better than to equip the locals to support and help other locals. Mm-hmm. But because of the constant lack of basic life necessities and the cyclical poverty, it's very hard to break out of that cycle, as we say. Mm-hmm. And so by us providing that, it actually enables them to now basically embark on this sort of journey where they're able to self-sustain and help one another and grow and flourish. So that's sort of what we do. I guess just quickly, though, last thing I'll say is that to date, we have impacted over 95,000 people. We built 61 water wells. We have a school, elementary school, from pre-K to 3rd grade for 160 students. We've done numerous diabetes clinics and work. We just launched a youth empowerment program. And we also embark on sanitary napkin education and awareness as well.
That's amazing.
Yep.
This is
all thanks to the team.
How many people are in your team?
Yeah, so in the US, we have 22 total. And in India, we have 30 or 32. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to do the math quickly in my head. It's probably more like 30.
Okay. Wow, that's pretty big team.
Yeah. They're all great. Actually, our US team, we're volunteer. Mm-hmm. So, you know, definitely people who are on the team, they're doing it out of compassion and the goodness of their heart, and really sort of donating their skill and time to us. So very thankful for them. And I think that's like one thing that I really wanted people to experience is that our generation, we're the most skilled. And yes, probably more. As the generations go, there'll be more and more. But right now, our generation, we're the most skilled. We have the most diverse set of talents. We can make a difference. Mm-hmm. Anybody, regardless of whichever industry or level or of expertise, it all does begin with the heart. And when we do pull it all together, we can really make this monumental change that, you know, we haven't made so far. And I think that's one thing that I really believe in, is that being, you know, selfless with your talents and skills, because there's a world out there beyond just, I guess, our bubble. Yeah.
Right. And, you know, listening to your whole journey, like there's so many things that I can ask about, you know, like.
Yeah. I know we can talk for hours about this.
Yeah. But for this video, I guess we have limited time, and I'm sort of, you know, interviewing on behalf of the Cerebral community. So I guess I would like to ask, questions that I think some of the members in StoryPile would be interested in learning about. And so
Sure.
in StoryPile, we have the teachers and the students mainly.
Hmm.
Yeah. And so I think speaking from the students, I think um I think it would be really interesting to learn, or maybe I'm just curious, how you move from engineering to marketing to ESG. Is it just this experience of you somehow, like your life leading you to India, this village, and
Yeah.
kind of initially maybe just participating in the water well, and then after that it's just a waterfall of the events?
Yeah. It's the story and the journey for me is very interesting. I don't think there's a clear answer, but essentially there's two underlying things I would say. Number one is I think my peers, my friends, and my work community sort of affirmed different sort of characteristics and talents that they see in me.
Mm.
And that also got me to sort of think beyond just my sphere. And number two, I say for me, I'm very much about like go for it. You never know. So try it, go for it, diversify your skills. And whereas there's one school of thought, and there's nothing wrong with it. Like take one skill, go really far deep, become an expert. I endorse it. I think it's great. I think that it's been sort of the thought process all along. But I think the new sort of mentality, which it could be, and also that I sort of, embarked on was get experience in many different fields and then learn quick and become a general expert quick, if that makes sense. And so in my mind, I think whether it's a forefront charity where, I look at HR, I look at finance, fundraising, programs, marketing. I mean, I'm looking at all of that, right? Which I'm so thankful for. And I am able to contribute a lot in those areas. Although I may not necessarily be the most biggest expert, but I think it's okay. The role that I'm in as a CEO and founder, like I know how to ask the right questions so I can learn quick, right? And I can become familiar enough and also a dot connector, as we call it, like connecting different teams together and fusing ideas together. And that's like the role that I love. But going back to sort of my industry experience, when I was an engineer, I think I generally was always sort of thinking beyond engineering, even in project. I was always sort of, yeah, delivering the product, but also I was like, oh, this would be an interesting way to say it or to communicate it. Or I feel like, oh, this is like something what the consumer wants. And I think like pushing that. So I think when I was doing that and I realized I do enjoy that sort of part, I had a decent like eye for like design and presentation. Like I kind of had a little bit of that. So a lot of my peers and my managers would be like, man, like maybe you should consider marketing. And it's a crazy change. It's a crazy leap. It really, really is. Like even in my company, almost unheard of at the time. But I said, why not? Let's go for it. You just never know what happens. So I applied for the role. And it's interesting because now companies are very much about let's bring diverse ideas, people, and mindsets into the field. So actually, the manager that was hiring was like, you know what? Like, there's so much product stuff that they manage, but they don't know, right? They do marketing, but they need to know the product and the process to tell a better story. So they're like, why not bring someone from, the engineering that can really sort of um, help marketing, creation, story, concepts, and things like that. So they were very much looking and open to that. And so it was the right time, right position, right fit. And that's how I moved to that role. Then after marketing, as I was going along and I was project managing a lot of the product launches into the market, once again, a lot of my peers and a lot of my managers were like, this is great. Would you like to consider an ESG role? Because,
Suddenly,
I'm sorry?
suddenly, out of nowhere.
Well, they knew that I was doing a lot of nonprofit work.
Oh,
Yeah, so they knew that. They knew I was
oh,
passionate about it. And I was looking for like a continual like global role. So I like global sort of roles. And so a position opened up and they're like, Matt, you should consider it. And essentially it sort of reports, it's part of the CEO and CSO sort of office and managing all of the global internal and external programs and partnerships and development work on behalf of the company.
mm,
And I was like, that sounds great. Like, give me that big scope. I love the scope work. So once again, I applied, and I got the role, and yeah, that's how I entered the ESG space. So, like I said, the two underlying things, like a lot of people affirming or recognizing or acknowledging the different skills that I kind of thought, but I think it when it shows to other people, it only affirms it a little bit more. And then also like I wanted to get a lot of different experiences, and I just went for it. And definitely, definitely having all roles was very helpful in every single role because they were always asking me questions about my previous experience. And I
mm,
used it to understand different stakeholders. So even when I was doing marketing, like I knew the way of like research and development like thinks. Like I know that helped me because I was able to have a better conversation with them because I know exactly the way that they think. Like when we push it against like a timeline, like I know the challenges that they go through, right? So just being aware of other people and the other functions and understand obstacles, but also the expertise, I guess helped me to leverage relationships well.
mm. I see. So, um, this is really great because it's in Korea we say, 사이다?
No, unfortunately, I don't know that word. I'm gonna need a translation for that.
Okay. So, basically, when you hear something very frustrating, we say, 고가, like it's like you ate many sweet potatoes.
Mm-hmm.
When you hear something that is just like yeah, like feeling like then it's like cider,
Mm. Okay.
cider,
It sounds
the
like cider,
right?
like the drink.
Yeah, for me this was cider, maybe rare, a weird feedback, but it's really cider because I love this story because what is opposite of how the education want the students to be, like, or at least a conventional education, and society want a person to be defined and just always search for something that is you're really good at, that you really like, and then find something finally, and then be really good at it and succeed and work hard on it so that you, I don't know, I guess achieve something within that something that you do. But what you're showing is it's a process, and it's okay to endorse many different sides of you and then bring those different sides into something unique and kind of interact with the environment so that you can grow in the process. So that's why this is really nice to hear. And I think really for many students, I believe like this type of story is really needed. And so thank you for sharing that. So out of so many places in the world, like what made you, go to India and start this huge project with the people in India?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think, first off, like I do acknowledge and I do realize there's need all around the world. And so hopefully, with the right contacts and donors and funders, like we would love to expand beyond just India. But India was just sort of the first country that I developed and I had contacts in. So I originally started by going on a mission trip with my church. That's sort of how an initial sort of relationship with the local area formed, which eventually then, a couple of years later sort of blossomed into, a more sort of like organized organization. But that's really sort of how it was. It was very just more sort of like where are the contacts, where can I begin? And so that was sort of where the first opportunity arose.
I see. And were there any challenges when you were getting off the ground, or when you finally, or once you decided, okay, I will do an NGO? That's a big decision.
I mean, which problem would you like? Number 1 or number 2 million? Because there are problems always. Hardships are endless.
Right.
It's still joyous and still amazing, which I love.
I guess because you, right now, is it your full-time work, or is it your side along with your job with the companies?
I would say it's basically like my second full-time job.
I see.
Yeah, so like I said, our India team, they're full-time and they get fully salaried and paid. In the US, we are all volunteers, so that 100% of all donations go to the cause. So we don't take anything. It all goes straight to providing all those basic like necessities. So we basically, we have other full-time jobs that helps to keep us afloat. We do.
That's serious commitment.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. My team in the US, they are like the best of the best. Like they're the most kind-hearted people that really are selfless and do it out of compassion. So I'm incredibly proud of them.
What do you think motivates them to?
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously everyone comes for different reasons. But I think the number one is, they have some time on their hands and they just want to make a difference. They want to see a change and they want to find a way to help. And I think that's sort of what them want to join. They like what they do, full-time job, but they still have a heart to help others, and that's sort of how they find and come to us.
And how did you find them? How did you meet them? Because you said 22, including you maybe, so 21.
Yeah. So I think all different areas. I mean, friends. It started a lot as like through my friends and contacts, right? And then as time went on, we're on some volunteer boards. So
volunteer boards.
I think the craziest and the funniest ones would be Uber. So at one point we were joking. We were joking that we have now this new Uber recruiting. So at the time when our team members, they were coming from like California and like other areas, they would fly and then they would take an Uber to a nearby, like place where we host them. And they would usually do Uber pool, like where they combine with different random people. And people would be like, oh, like, what are you here for? And they're like, oh, I'm part of a nonprofit and blah, blah, blah. And then they start recruiting people. And I think it was 1 or 2 people who joined our team through Uber recruiting. That's probably the funniest and the most random, amazing story. But that's not the form, I will say. But it has happened, which I'm incredibly grateful for. Yeah. Have you heard that before? Probably not. Never.
Uber should be proud.
I need to contact them and tell them our story.
Thank you. That's really cool stories though. And then so now going back to I feel like I just asked very just selfish questions.
No, it's fine. Go for it.
Back to
whatever you need.
The students, yes. So I think it would
I will say at the end of this, I need a lunch recommendation today in Seoul. So that's as I answer all your question, you need to answer
Oh,
my
don't worry. I have it, and I even might have one for it. So,
Okay, great.
you're in Seoul, right?
I am. Yeah.
Okay, great, great. So yeah, seriously, wait for it.
Okay, I
Um,
will.
so these, you know, NGO. So you're not really. This is not your like job. This is your, like you said, second job, and this does not yeah, bring in income, right? But maybe there are students who are interested in going into this nonprofit career. And so, is there any advice that you could give them who may be considering going into? Of course, I know that there's so many different types of MPOs. Like it would be a completely different story if they're,
Right.
I guess, starting it or trying to get a job in it, which is paid. And there's also like local as well as international. And so I know there are like different types. So I think students should understand the advices they should take as like a part of the portfolio. So you don't have to try to explain everything, but just from your own experience and something that just stood out for you, whatever would be helpful for the students, if you could share.
Yeah. Personally, I think every student be somehow connected or integrated with nonprofit. When you support the person, it actually has 3 times more greater impact than donating to the nonprofit cause itself. It's because the people that power it are so important. They need encouragers. They need people to support. They need, and also the other thing also for us is that we need experts. Like we need people who know the industry, right? So I think that it's really important that in some capacity, whether you're in it full time or volunteering or giving your advice, I think everyone can be part of a nonprofit in some way. Whether you're nonprofit or for-profit, be part of some sort of volunteer nonprofit work. Yeah, because at the end of the day, we're all interconnected and we're all global citizens of this world. Like we all depend on each other, whether we see it or not, whether we believe it or not. That's the truth. That's the reality.
Is there a way that students really practically get engaged? Maybe just with you, your organization.
People can feel free to DM me on Instagram. I'm pretty responsive, or they could email our organization. We are very open to ideas and new projects. One of the very big things, as kind of said in our name, Forefront, we do want to be at the forefront of nonprofit space, meaning that we do need to be creative. We need to innovate. We always need the next generation of ideas. So if anyone has any idea, wants to partner and needs a space to enable it, we're very much willing to, and we have done many of those in the past, actually with university. We have.
Has there been any cases of high school students working with your organization?
Yes, actually, we had couple. So this one girl, she started a high school chapter at her school, and she had a very big heart for like sanitation. So she and her friends, they did a lot of like, they made soap, they fundraised to make soap, and the soap that they made, we actually brought with us to India. We actually distributed to villages. We have another high school girl who also started a chapter, and with all the funds that they collected together from tutoring money or different allowances, they created a scholarship for a girl at our school. So yes, I mean, high schoolers, you know, they are incredible, and you know, I think it's also very important to invest and activate our next generation too, our rising generation. So we're very much about it. In the nonprofit space, time and resources are very limited, right? So I think the key things that we're looking for are people who are self-motivated. We need people who, when they commit to something, they get it done. They find whatever way to get it done. So they're self-motivated. Obviously, good communication, humble and willing to learn, right? We're very willing to share, grow talent, but they need to be very willing to to listen and to adapt and to grow. And then last but not least, just have a compassionate heart, because I think compassionate heart leads to perseverance and endurance for the long haul. Because the nonprofit world can be very difficult because it's solving the most critical issues. Yeah, yes, we do need a next phone, but that's not like critical to society and to the world. But these are unmet needs of people, and it's difficult when working with many different people. But I think when you have a compassionate heart, you're able to understand, and it helps you to endure and keep going, which I think is the most precious thing in the nonprofit space is endurance and keep it going.
I see. I think that should be really, really helpful for the students. So thank you so much, Matt. And now my turn to, I guess, answer your question. Story Pal got sponsorship from the one Ethiopian restaurant in Seoul. And that one is in Noryangjin, Noryangjin?
Yes, I'm aware.
It's from the Noryangjin station, so you can easily get there, and I will send you a coupon.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So, and also the story of the owner of that restaurant is also very interesting. So, was a journalist in Ethiopia actually, but Ethiopia had a lot of like political so he had to sort of fly, and now he is based in Korea, Seoul, and he's really cool. And but I think if you go, then if you can have conversation with him, I think that would be really fun too. And also it's very popular amongst the Ethiopian students that are studying in Korea.
Okay.
So I think you can have some interesting conversation, because I see that the potential of your model that's working in India could be helpful for other parts as well.
For sure.
Who knows what that will lead to. So I will give you a coupon, and then I hope you enjoy it for my share of it too.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for the time today. And then I guess I will have to link all the sites for your website. And in terms of DMing you for the students, what's the best way? Instagram?
Yeah, Instagram works, or email.
What can I know your Instagram handle, or?
Yeah, it's ATTHEW, my name, YOH.
YOH? Okay, so it's Matthew YOH?
Yeah, that's correct. Yes.
Okay. All right. I will first add you to check, and then So thank you so much again, and hopefully see you again.
Yeah, nice chatting with you. And if you're ever in New York, let me know.
I definitely will. Yeah. Okay. Have a nice day.
Great. Thank you. Bye.
Okay. A short conclusion time before we say goodbye. So I told you he's an interesting person, right? And my recommendation is, whether you are someone who was already interested in the NPO, like this particularly this humanitarian work, or you were not. In both cases, if you were looking for something new and something real to engage and take your actions, then I think you should try, because the thing is, there's many ways that you can probably get engaged, and you can communicate what you're interested in trying, right? Domain, subject, skill set that you want to contribute, and by contributing, you can practice and improve. And so that's that part. And then the other thing is, if you try it, if you get yourself actually do it, then you will learn about yourself and the others. So that would give you two scenarios. One is I guess three. One is you thought you like it and you do. That's great. And the other one is you thought you like it and you don't. And then the last one would be you thought, or you never even thought about it, but you have discovered or you like it. So you don't know where you will end up. So I think that's why you should try to take the opportunity if you were thinking about doing something. So I'm sure you will be able to design something that is aligned. Yeah, even if it's not aligned, just, yeah, if it's, give it a shot. Yeah, give it a shot. Yeah, okay. So now quickly again, Korean. 그래서 정리를 하자면, 제가 아까 말씀드렸던 것처럼 뭔가 시도를 하면서 배울 수 있는 것들이 많이 있고 한데, 이제 이게 내가 원래 비영리 단체에 관심이 있었던지 간에 없었던지 간에 이런 기회가 왔을 때 한번 시도를 해봤을 때 좋은 점이, 일단 하나는 내가 생각하고 있던 활동이나 이런 것들이 포함될 수 있도록, 그걸 할 수 있도록 충분히 이렇게 대화를 통해서 디자인을 할 수 있다고 생각해요. 그 다음에 두 번째는 내가 이걸 해봤잖아요. 그러면 세 가지 시나리오가 있을 수 있는데, 하나는 나는 이걸 잘할 것 같고 좋아할 것 같아 라고 했는데 정말 그래, 오케이. 그 다음에 두 번째는 나는 이걸 좋아하는 것 같고 잘할 것 같아 했는데 아니야, 오케이. 그 다음에 세 번째는 나 이거 관심도 없고 뭔지도 모르겠고 뭔지도 몰랐고 아니면 정말 싫었어. 근데 이런 식으로 하니까, 아니면 진짜 해보니까는 괜찮은데, 난 이거 잘하는데, 이렇게 나올 수 있는 거죠. 그래서 해보지 않고서는 알 수가 없다. 그러니까 기회가 왔을 때 한번 해보시라. 네, 그렇게 마무리하도록 하겠습니다. 바이바이.